Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, the 26th of June. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about Kim Jong-un has overseen missile tests as he calls for a stronger offensive posture. Trump has feuded with senators after a rare Iran war rebuke. And oil returns to pre-war levels as the Strait of Hormuz traffic rebounds. So firstly, Kim Jong-un personally oversaw a series of ballistic missile tests this week, ordering North Korea's military to sharpen its offensive capabilities and increase launch readiness. The exercises come as Pyongyang watches the US-Iran conflict closely, framing the drills as a direct response to what it calls escalating American aggression in the region. North Korea has conducted multiple weapons tests this year alone, cementing a pattern of accelerating its program regardless of international pressure or diplomatic overtures. So what? I think the Iran situation proved that having a nuclear weapon really works when it comes to defending yourself. Pyongyang will likely accelerate its program rather than negotiate. A more aggressive North Korean posture will possibly deepen the security dilemma for Seoul and Tokyo, especially if a Taiwanese crisis pulls US forces into a conflict in the region. These tests are also likely as much a negotiating position as a military exercise. Kim here is banking on leverage and making sure that everyone in the region knows that North Korea has the capability to deliver nuclear weapons if it is threatened. And next, President Trump has clashed publicly with Republican and Democratic senators after Congress issued a rare bipartisan rebuke over his handling of the Iranian conflict, challenging his authority to conduct military operations without congressional approval. The vote marked an unusual moment for GOP dissent, with several key Republicans breaking from the president on a question of war powers and executive overreach. It stands as one of the most significant congressional pushbacks Trump has faced in his term, raising questions about his ability to sustain military operations without legislative approval. So what? Iran is politically toxic here. GOP senators breaking ranks will likely continue, and it's unlikely to be a one-off. Intra-party dissent at this scale is possibly a signal that Trump's grip on the Republican Party is softening as his, approval ratings tank. Congressional resistance will likely constrain his escalation options, especially if the conflict drags on. It really puts him in a pretty tough position when it comes to negotiating if, the US Congress publicly says that he can't go back to war, It really hampers negotiations. And this is kind of where I kind of disagree on the handling of this. I agree that they need to push back and control Trump's ability to go to war without getting congressional sign-off. But now that you are in a war, hamstringing him in negotiations is only going to damage the US and the international community. And lastly, oil prices have fallen back to pre-conflict levels, and shipping through the Straits of Hormuz is recovering as the US moves to reassure Gulf allies that have been rattled by weeks of regional instability. The recovery reflects market confidence that a broader conflict has been avoided for now, but the physical environment in the waterways remains hazardous. Rogue mines that were laid during the conflict are still being cleared and pose an active risk to commercial shipping lanes, as seen by an incident in the past 24 hours where there's been some kind of explosion, as reported by the UK Maritime Authority. So what? The price recovery here is possibly a fault. The rogue mines that still float in the straits could realistically spike costs overnight if insurance premiums are hit, by just random explosions happening to commercial shipping. And the US reassurance push is likely going to need to continue in, the short to medium term. Gulf partners are highly unlikely to stay quiet without sustained diplomacy and reassurance from the US. And if there is any, incidents or the strait does get closed again, they'll be very quickly to speak out. I think it's highly likely that the Strait of Hormuz is like one incident away from reversing the recovery, and the choke point is still a significant risk within the region. But anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you!